Hello, good evening and welcome to Prime Business. I am Pius Kojobaka. President of the Ghana Association of Restructuring and Insolvency Advisors, Felix Addo, has maintained that it might be difficult for government to restore the licenses of defunct commercial banks. It follows the push by some of the owners of these banks making fresh appeals for their license to be restored. By speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Addo maintained that there are reputation and trust issues that must be addressed first before exploring its feasibility.
Operate on reputation, on trust, and good faith. And so that will be the very first challenge for these institutions. Because for a bank to keep doing business, the investing or depositing public should have faith in its ability, its resilience, its going concern status to year in, year out be there so that they can do business with it. Now, if for whatever reason there is any blemish to their reputation, to its stability, that creates a challenge for not only the perception, the reality of it, because many a time the perceptions generate into realities. Okay. So that is the first issue. If today these licenses are restored, what the ordinary reasonable person would do, okay, depositor, is to go into the bank and as quickly as possible pull out all his deposits in the bank. And trust me, the average reasonable person will not be going back to deposit or do business with this organization for a long time to come. Okay? That's the first thing.
Financial technology firms have denied underestimating remittance into Ghana over the past years. This follows reports that some of the fintechs have been under-declaring their inflows, hence the need for an audit by the Bank of Ghana for the last quarter of 2024. Martin Awaga is the president of the Ghana Fintech and Payments Association.
I think that is totally false and it's not accurate because the business of remittance is not only carried out by fintechs. Like I said earlier, that business is a relationship between fintechs and commercial banks. And so commercial banks are equally engaged on this front. So is it fair to say that, you know, commercial banks are also under-declaring their inflows? So let us not get ahead of ourselves and then think fintechs are doing, you know, what is, or are not being compliant. You know, sitting where I am, fintechs are a lot compliant and we need to actually appreciate the kind of convenience and tenacity and agility these fintechs are bringing into the industry. And so I would also say that I'm not also in a position to tell if fintechs are the only ones under declaring their inflows. However, the accuracy, like I said earlier, the accuracy of this, or the scope of this audit will unravel this issue that is going on and the belief that some people have, you know, in the ecosystem.
The UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce is urging the government to take further steps to ensure the long-term sustainability of the Ghana cedi. The Ghana cedi has continued its strong performance against the US dollar in the retail market. Meanwhile, Executive Director of the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce, Ajoba Chioma, is calling for a favorable exchange rate regime to benefit local businesses. She spoke to Joy Business.
There were challenges with clearing of goods at the ports, and so we did at the time engage with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority as well as Ghana Customs. But I must say that in 2024 we did get a lot of positive reviews about how well things were working.
Right, so now let's move straight to the exchange rates. It's been of a great concern to even the normal ordinary Ghanaian. Somewhere last year, Bank of Ghana injected some amount into the economy and we saw some form of stability. And now it's hovering around 15 thereabout. That is to the dollar. To what extent is it affecting member companies and also, I mean, let me just stick to member companies for now. So of course, if there's instability in the exchange rates, it affects all businesses because we are quite heavily dependent upon imports. And so for a few months now, I think we've seen some stability, which is good because business thrives in an environment of consistency where they can easily plan, you know, and implement
whatever strategies they have for their business. But when there's instability, it also destabilizes business operations. So yes, I mean, last year at some point we saw the cedi falling, and
somewhere
it was
16, 17.
yes, and therefore that was great concern. But I must say that things stabilized, so that's a good thing.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Simon Maggi, has underscored the importance of improving the ease of doing business in Ghana through digitized platforms. According to Mr. Maggi, the government will soon implement measures to work permits to investors within 24 hours. He made this announcement at the Ghana Economic Outlook 2024 program organized by the Ghanaian German Economic Association in Accra. More in this report.
Ghana Economic Outlook 2025 was held under the theme Consolidating Macroeconomic Stability and Economic Rebound in an Election Year. According to Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Simon Maggi, the government is working to improve the ease of doing business.
The GIPC, before we go out to market Ghana, we must also look within what are our processes looking like. So I have sat down with the team and I have tasked them that would it not be possible for us to process work permits and all those quotas within 24 hours? Why would we have to keep an investor waiting for 5 days or a week to process some of these things? With technology, we'll be able to do that.
Presidential advisor on the economy, Seth Tekwe, emphasized the need for tax rationalization.
If we rationalize the tax regime, if we have difficulties, we introduce 2 taxes anytime we did austerity. National Fiscal Stabilization Levy or Fiscal Stabilization Levy, right? And then we had the temporary import duty. And anytime we went out of an austerity program with the fund, we removed them. So they were keeping them. It was the reason for most of the levies that we are keeping.
Economist Professor Godfrey Bokwing highlighted the impact of re-entering the bond market.
So now we are operating the short end of the yield curve. That is not sustainable. But then how do we extend that, reopen the bond market? I seriously think that before we think about going to the international capital market, let's get our domestic markets functioning, right? Because this is what we preside over. And let's build confidence in our market. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
Acting Executive Secretary of the Ghanaian German Economic Association, Hilary Saki Koji, underscored the significance of the conference.
For us, this is a major event, and it's our first event for the year where we bring our CEOs and captains of industry together to have a look into the year. How does the year look for us, especially coming out of an election and there's a change in leadership of the country or the governance? Definitely there are going to be changes. How does that portend for the private sector, and how are we going to cope? What are we supposed to be looking out to for the year 2025? And so basically, it's to help and guide our CEOs and our members to plan or to add on to planning into the year. Because then when you have this discussion, you have a fair idea what to expect, how things are likely to play out, and then it helps you to adjust and accommodate those changes.
The Economic Outlook Conference was organized by the Ghanaian German Economic Association under the auspices of the German ambassador, Daniel Kroh. The event brought together key stakeholders to deliberate on solutions for national development.
We want to stay a while longer on investment matters because the Ghana Investment Promotion Center has announced of plans to begin a 24-hour permit processing for foreign companies planning to invest in Ghana. GIPC's Chief Executive Simon Maggi explained that the center will roll out the reforms in weeks' time in line with the 24-hour economic policy, which aims to increase foreign direct investments and expand the country's economy. He spoke at the unveiling of a new showroom by Zonda Tech Ghana on the Spintex Road. Here's a report.
Ghana attracted $360 million in the first quarter of 2024. About 78% of these investments are foreign-owned, underscoring the country's growing appeal to foreign investors. With the appointment of a new CEO, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center aims to improve new reforms to improve FDIs in the country. In line with this, Simon Maggi, CEO of the GIPC, announced plans to create a seamless documentation process to facilitate ease of doing business in Ghana. He spoke at the unveiling of a new showroom for Zonda Tech Ghana on the Spintex Road.
So if you know anyone else who is doing business, we can assure you that we are the GIPC. We are reforming our processes and our models and way of work to ensure that we are quicker but with accurate information for you. Just to let you in on a little secret, I've told my staff that we should be ready to process your permits within 24 hours to comply with the 24-hour economy that His Excellency the President has introduced. So please, you can hold us to that promise that your work permit requirement that you need from us and your renewal and registration of your investment will be done in 24 hours and the modalities should be out by the end of next week.
Meanwhile, the opening of the new showroom by Zonda Tech Ghana on the Spintex Road also marked the unveiling of the all-new Haval H9 and Tank 500. These luxurious vehicles offer fuel efficiency and a robust build to enable countryside travels. Yan Yan, CEO of Zonda Tech Ghana, emphasized her company's resolve to provide affordable deluxe automobiles in the country.
We're opening this showroom. Inside this showroom, we have 6 types of cars. We have 3 types that are under the auto policy. We have the pickup, the Haval Dueling, we have the light truck. They're under the auto policy. But Zonda now, we also bring the luxurious cars from China. You can see our Haval H9, our Tank 500, and our Tank 300.
The evolution of the automobile industry in recent times has seen a strong emergence of luxurious cars. With an assembling plant in Ghana, Zonda Tech aims to provide quality automobiles while contributing to the country's economy.
President John Mahama has appointed 2 new Deputy Director Generals at the Social Security and National Insurance Trust (NIT). This will mean that the State Pension Trust will now have its full management executives in place to run the organization and implement the necessary reforms. George Yafe has more.
First is the former banker Dr. Bernadette Hoffman, who has been appointed as the Deputy Director General in charge of Finance and Administration at the State Pension Trust (NIT). Dr. Hoffman has more than 17 years of experience in banking and the corporate world. The president has also appointed another banker, Wolenam Dogbe, as the Deputy Director General in charge of investments and development, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust. Mr. Dogbe has more than 18 years of experience in banking and investment. The State Pension Trust is supposed to have 4 executive persons at post to complement their full management structure at the organization. Based on this development, institution, which is also headed by a banker, Kwesi Afre-Bani, as its Director General, can press ahead with the necessary reforms for the organization.
Nestle Ghana has officially launched its new Nido packaging, which is to reinforce the company's commitment to environmental sustainability and efficient waste management while maintaining its original taste. Helen Akai filed this report.
As companies increasingly adapt measures to minimize their environmental footprint, Nestle Ghana unveils its newly redesigned packaging for Nido, a cherished milk powder that has nourished families across the country for generations. At the launch event of Nestle Nido package, Corporate Communications and Public Affairs Manager Deborah Kwabla underscored the importance of this transition, stating that the new packaging will facilitate easier collection and recycling, a crucial step towards sustainability.
You know, we live in a very dynamic world, right? And today we are all talking about the environment and the importance of being good stewards of the environment. So we have redesigned this packaging considering the environmental impact and the environmental sustainability in mind. So what you do with packaging redesign that makes it sustainable is to make sure that the materials that you choose to design the packaging are recyclable, and that's exactly what we've done. In addition to the Nido new look, Nestle has a number of sustainable initiatives that we are actively engaged in. So packaging redesign is one of them, and that's why we are here today to relaunch the new look of Nido with simpler materials, easier to recycle. We also have a plastic waste management project. So we have collectors and pickers of plastics who are picking plastic as we speak, and they sell it to recyclers who then recycle it for that material to go into another plastic material.
Category Manager for Dairy at Nestle Ghana, Gilbert Trineboa Kodua, assured consumers that despite the change in packaging, there has been no compromise on product quality, quantity, or pricing.
So the content is the same, the quantity is the same. We have the same 23 gram, 14 gram, the tin which is 400 gram. That has not changed. The only thing that we have changed is the packaging that we have made much more beautiful, much more reflective of our sustainability agenda, and then much more aligned with what the brand is doing to help school-age children. The quality remains the same. Nestle, we do not joke with our quality. So the quality standard that you have known Nido to be from the ages is the same quality that you are enjoying. As I said, nothing has changed about the recipe, only the packaging has been improved. So Nido, as you know it, is very well nutritious, very well fortified. We have iron. We know how important iron is for school-age children. We have iron in there. We have vitamin D. We also have vitamin A. We have vitamin C. We have protein and calcium. So Nido is fully fortified. If you give it to your children as part of their breakfast, you are really helping and supporting them with their growth. So this new packaging comes at no cost to our consumers. So price is not going to change because of this new packaging. The same amount you are buying it for is the same amount you pay for this new packaging.
This initiative highlights Nestle's commitment to providing nutritious product offerings and its ongoing efforts to minimize environmental impact.
In more business news, the West African Gas Pipeline Company Limited, known as WAPCO, is about 70% through in its ongoing mandatory maintenance operation using a series of pipeline inspection gauges. The operation, which is carried out every 5 years, began on February 5 and is expected to be completed by March 2. Maintenance and Operations Superintendent in charge of Western Operations at WAPCO, Engineer Benoni Owusu Aye, spoke to the media during an engagement at the Tema Regulating and Metering Station. Kwame Yanka has more.
That speaking was done in January 2020. Maintenance being carried out by WAPCO this year are in two parts. The mandatory 5-year maintenance of the pipeline from Nigeria to Ghana with the use of pipe inspection gauges, also known as PIGs, and replacement of valves at Tema Lateral and Cotonou Lateral in Benin. Cleaning and inspection of the line is crucial, as it remains an insurance requirement, regulatory requirement, and ensuring asset integrity. This is done by pushing the gauge with pressured gas through the pipeline as the laterals are closed to prevent diversion of gas. WAPCO isolated Takoradi Station by February 5, then isolated the laterals commencing works on February 7 and have received 3 pigs with the 4th one in transit. Engineer Benoni Owusu Aye has been speaking on the progress of work.
And after assessing the line and the debris and that we saw in Takoradi, we further optimized the pigging operation, and to the extent that we decided not to run another pig. So we launched at the caliper. The caliper is also an intelligent pig. It's currently in transit, like I said, and we should receive it early hours on Saturday, the 22nd. Once we receive that pig, we will now launch a pig to clean the Tema Lateral. As we speak to you, we have the divers working to replace the valve. Once we complete Tema, we will now launch the final pig, that is MFL, expected to travel about 3.5 or 4 days.
Engineer Benoni Owusu Aye says Tema could start receiving gas from March 2 to start producing power.
We hope to resume supply to Tema and also Lome. We will still have to carry out some activities on the Cotonou Lateral, because from the Tema job, the vessel will move to Cotonou. Cotonou, we are doing an inspection in Cotonou. We'll run several pigs, and intelligent pigs, about 6 of them. So Cotonou will not be able to resume by the 2nd. We're looking at either 5th or 7th of March. But for reverse flow and Tema, we should be ready before second match.
Meanwhile, General Manager, Corporate Affairs of WAPCO, Dr. Isaac Ajay Doku says an intelligent pig will help analyze data from the pipeline.
We are going to download the data from that intelligent pig and we will analyze it, and that will tell us the state of the pipeline under the sea from Lagos all the way to Takoradi. If there are any preventive measures from that data that we have to do, then we will undertake it. If nothing and it says that the pipeline is all right and in good condition, then at least we operating the pipeline, we have the assurance that we have an asset that is reliable, that is safe to be able to flow gas to our off-takers.
WAPCO says lessons learned from operational challenges experienced during the last pig-in 5 years ago in Takoradi have helped in making much progress this year. Managing Director Michelle Beckett, Operations Coordinator for Thermal Regulating and Metering Station, Engineer Samuel Bachman, and other officials were present to support. From WAPCO, here within the Thermal Enclave, this has been Kwame Yanka for Joy Business.
The Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies Ghana says it will be petitioning the government through a white paper on concerns of unfair pricing and rationalization in the downstream petroleum sector. According to the Chamber, this has been a setback for the industry as many investors are forced to compete unfairly with other markets. Chief Executive of the Chamber, Dr. Riverson Opon, disclosed this to Joy Business at the closing session of the Downstream Dialogue here in Accra. More in the following report.
According to the Chamber of the Oil Marketing Companies, zonalization in the downstream sector has not served the purpose of its introduction and is a major cause of unfair pricing in the industry. Chief Executive of the Chamber, Dr. Riverson Opon, told Joy Business that this is on top of their agenda to get government to reverse the situation.
At the end of the day, we want sanity in the industry. We want to have a fair pricing regime where we have an organic industry where the industry players will determine what price. Because at the end of the day, we are deregulated. Why do I need to bypass Konongo from Tema to Kumasi and another BRV go to Kumasi and bring the same product to Konongo? I mean, that's a double counting. And I'm asking this question. If today, Boss refuses to take fuel from Tema to Kumasi, and my members, the oil marketing companies, do so from Tema to Kumasi and to the north, what happens to the primary distribution margin that is charged at the depot? Regardless of Boss not doing its job, we still charge regardless. So I believe it's high time we review holistically the zonalization.
He assured that they will be engaging the National Petroleum Authority and thereby come out with a roadmap.
To have discussions on the quality and sanctions of oil marketing companies. Like I said today, OMCs don't import product. OMCs don't track the BRVs. OMCs don't have access to ATG. Everything is in the hands and an affair of NPA. NPA sees everything. NPA knows. They are the gods of the downstream. So they know where the problems are. And we have to have a dialogue.
The 2 days event brought together key stakeholders in the downstream petroleum sector to discuss challenges and how to find solutions to them.
Stakeholders have commended government for a significant move in adopting solar systems at key governmental institutions. In a research conducted by the Brew Hammond Energy Center at KNUST, most of the respondents believe that the government's adoption of renewables like solar in various sectors of its operations will boost confidence for more people to adopt the system. Here's more.
Adopting solar energy into the country's national grid is part of government's broader transition policy aimed at promoting green energy. According to stakeholders, this will receive more boost if government takes the lead to install solar systems at various state facilities. Speaking to Joy Business on some recommendations by the Brew Hammond Energy Center at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Director at the center, Professor David Atokwansa, explained that more work is needed to build trust in solar energy.
It's important that government also leads the way. Government is a huge entity with its agencies. And so if government projects are integrating solar, then it gives the technology a credibility boost. So we were quite happy when we heard that the ministry is intending to do solar at the basic and senior high schools. So if you imagine you have these schools with solar all over, it makes the technology more credible and its capabilities, are better demonstrated.
Director of Renewable Energy at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, Engineer Seth Mahu, also highlighted some initiatives undertaken by government to promote clean energy.
Utility scale projects. We are already doing a lot in that space. Currently, our generation from renewables stands at 205 megawatts. We have close to about 200 megawatts again under construction, which will be coming on board by 2026. We have just signed or witnessed the signing of an IFC facility for a private entity to do 200 megawatts of solar in the Dawa ecozone, industrial ecozone. And these are all projects that are coming out as a result of the incentives that we have put in place for the market. We are seeing a lot of work also in the last mile electrification, where we are deploying mini grids powered solely by renewable energy to provide electricity to communities that we cannot, for economic reason, extend a national grid to.
The research was focused on the real estate and hospitality sectors.
I truly appreciate your time watching Prime Business with me, Pius Kojobaka. We have more for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. To have a lovely weekend. Sports next.